Hello there, everyone. My name is Chong Jie, and today I'm going to do explanation on how do I complete Lab 1 Part B, and I'm going to slowly explain on how do I answer each question. So first off, for main question 1 in Part B, uh, there are 5 sub-questions, and I'm going to slowly briefly explain on how to answer them. So I already opened the packet trace file here, as you can see here. And in order to answer the question more like easily, we will be applying a filter here, HTTP as the instruction set here. And then we'll be proceed here. If we proceed, we'll be seeing that all the 17 packets, we can only see like 4 packets that contain the protocol HTTP. So now we can answer our question now. So the first question is, what is the version of HTTP that the server is running? So in order to see that, we can just click on the first packet here, like for the frame 10 here, and I click on the hypertext transfer protocol. I mean, click this symbol here. In order to get more information on the version of HTTP that the server is running. So at first glance, it will be harder to see. It will be harder to see the version, but the version here will be the version of the HTTP the server is running will be in this line here at the back here. So HTTP /1.1. So the version of the HTTP that the server is running is HTTP version 1.1, and that will be the answer for question 1. And for the question 2, what is the IP address of the client computer? So in order to understand the client computer, which one is the client computer? As you can see, there's only two IP address here. So in order to understand which one of the IP address is the client computer, you can just see the message info here. The get ethereal labs lab2 slash -1 and then http /1.1 200. Okay, there's a lot of messages here, but the main thing that we need to see is the messages that contain the messages that contain the word get, as this indication of that is the client computer, because the client computer is sending a get request to the destination, and the destination will reply to the client computer in order to uh, fulfill the request of the client. So by knowing that, we will know that the first thing here, the packet here contains a get request here, and then the frame 12 here, there's a like to response of response of another like destination response for the destination to the first source here. So to not overcomplicate things, we just see this using the fact that the client computer will be sending the get request. So the answer for the second question will be 192.168.1.102. As for the third sub question, what is the IP address of the gia.cs.umas.edu server? So since there's only like two IP address here, so the second IP address will be the destination. It will be the IP address for the website server here. So it will be 128.119.245.12. In order to further understand why this IP address is the IP address for this website, for the website server. If you click here, we'll see that the request URI here contains the link here. So this is a source. This is a source. So it contains this link here. So that means that this IP address contains this link. So moving on to the fourth question, to the fourth sub question here. How many bytes of content is being returned to the client browser? So in order to answer that, there's two answers because there's two get commands. There's two get requests sent from the client computer. So in order to answer that, we will first like click on the frame 12 here in order to see the size of the content that is being returned to the client browser. So the first, in order to find the byte of the content being returned, so we can just in the same tab here go to the hypertext transfer protocol and then click here to display more information and then scroll down to the very end and you can see that the file being returned to uh, the size of the file being returned to the client browser is written here. So 73 bytes of content is being returned to the client server. Client browser, I mean. As for the byte of the content being returned to the client browser for the second GET request, we will be looking at frame 14. You will be looking at frame 14, and same thing. Go to this hypertext transfer protocol and then just scroll to the end. You will see that how many bytes of of content is being returned from the server to the client. So it will be 1071 bytes of content being returned to the client. As to answer the final sub-question here, sub-question 5, why is the status code returned from the client to the, why is the status code returned from the server to the client browser? To answer that, it's also like, it's also, there's also two answers for that because of the two GET requests from the client browser. The answer is quite clear because it's literally written here. So it's actually written here at the information bar here, column here. So since we know that these two here is the server replying to the client, so the status code for the first get request is that status code 200 is being returned from the server to the client browser to indicate that the server already successfully get the get request and then give the requested file back to the client browser. As for the second um, client get request, status code of 404 is being returned. It's being returned from the server as to notify about the server gets the get request from the client browser, but is unable to find the file inside the server itself, so it will just return a status code of 404 and indicating that the file no longer exists in the server itself. So I think that is all for question 1 part B. Yes, question 1 part B, and I will be moving on to the question 2 part B. And thank you for listening. Hello there everyone, my name is Chong Jie and now I'm going to explain on question 2 part B in lab 1. So I have opened the file, the package trees file here, and I will be answering question 1 to question 4 now. So in order to answer question 1, first let me just apply the filter here, and we will be starting to answer question sub question 1 here. So first, inspect the content of the first HTTP GET request from your browser to the server. Do you see an if modified since line in the HTTP GET? So in frame 8, this will be the first GET request from my browser, assuming this is my browser. And since the information here already displayed as a GET here, so we will know that it's a GET request. So if I click this here, it's still like this last time, hypertext transfer protocol, click the here, this symbol here, and then see slowly through every content here to see if there's a this line here, and there is none. There is no if modified since line in the get request. So I will answer no. I will answer no, and to be more complete, there is no if line. There's no if line here. Wait, don't mind. I just can type it out. There's no if modified since line in the HTTP get in the first HTTP. Or I can just say in frame 8. Frame 8. Frame 8. There's no. Actually, we can just answer this like but more simple. So that would be the most safest answer. So at the second question, inspect the content of the server response after the first GET request from the client. Did the server explicitly return the content of the file? Can you tell? So in order to know did the server return anything to the client, we can already see that here, this is supposed to be the server here, which is replying to the client. So we already know that the server responded okay. They got the request, and then they got the GET request, and then they are going to send the requested file back to the client. So in order to prove that there's already the requested file has already been sent to, so we click this frame 10. It's supposed to be a server sending back to the client, and it's the same as every step. We just go to the hypertext transfer protocol, click here for more information, scroll down to the last one, and then here. This will be the proof that the server has already returned a file back to the client. So here the server responded to the client with a status code 200. This is to notify the user, notify client that the server received the GET request. Received the GET request, and then they send the requested file to the client. In order to answer this, how can you tell? We can know that you just state this, there's a size, the 371 byte of content being returned from the server of content being returned from the server to the client. So this is just this line here. There's a 371 byte of content being returned from the server to the client is to answer the how can you tell. So answer it more complete. So as for the sub-question 3, now inspect the content of the second HTTP GET request from your browser to the server. Do you see an if modified since line in the HTTP GET? If so, what's the information follows the if modified since header? So in order to answer this question here, we will be going to frame 14 here to the second GET request. As here, there's a get word here in the information section column here for frame 14, and then scroll down to here. Click this hypertext transfer protocol and then see all the informations here, and you will see that there will be a if modified since header here in this frame 14 here. So in frame 14, so to answer it more like completely here, in frame 14 there is the second HTTP GET request has the line if modified since and in the header itself, in the header contains the get condition. So actually, this if modified since is an actual condition. It's actually like a if statement in C++. So if modified is like a condition, and the information flowing it is the what is the condition? What is the condition? The if modified since is the if statement, and the information following this is the condition for the if statement. So the header here contains the get condition for the file, and then to be more specific, the client for the requested file. To be more specific, the client wants to request the file, wants to get the file from the server if the file has been modified since the given time frame, which is 23rd of November, 23rd of September 2003, Tuesday at 5:35. We assume AM since it is written in the 24-hour notation. And in GMT time. So that's the entire answer for question 3. As for question 4 here, what is the HTTP status quo and the phrase returned from the server in response to this second HTTP GET? Did the server explicitly return the content of the file? Explain. So in order to answer this question, we can go to here, frame 15, in order to answer the question 4 here. So as you can see, the server here return a status code of 304 and then a phrase not modified. So to answer this, we will be writing that in frame 15, the server returned a status code 304 and the phrase not modified not modified not modified um, to the client to the client to the client. So the first part of the question is answered. So in order to find that if the server return any files to the client, we can just go to the same route hypertext transfer protocol here and then scroll down to the last thing here, to the last to the end, and then find that there's actually nothing, there's actually no files being sent back from the server to the client, not as this one. There's a file data here. So that means that there's no files, there's nothing returned to the client from the server. So we will say that the server did not return any content of the file to the client, and this is because that of the get condition that the client set for the server, like here, like in here. If modified since this time span, then the server should like give if the sorry so if the get sorry if the so the client sent a get request to the server requesting the file to be sent back to the client if the file has been edited or modified since this time span. Since the file has not been modified since that time span, then it will not return the file back to the client. So in order to answer this question in words, so I will type that the file has not been modified since the time frame specified by the client, and the server did not return any content of the file back to the client. And I think that's all for the main question 2 part B in lab 1. So I guess that's all, and I'll be moving on to question 3. Thank you. Hello there everyone, my name is Cherong Jie, and today I'm going to explain the final question for part B lab 1. So I already opened the packet trace file here, and then we can begin to answer all the 4 sub questions here. But first off, like previously, we first filter out every frame that has the protocol HTTP that contains the HTTP protocol. So to answer the first question, the first sub question for main question 3, how many HTTP GET requests did the client browser send? So in this question, here, we already know that know the details. We need to know the details about the client browser and the how many that HTTP GET request message did it send. So here, since we already filtered out every frame that contains the protocol HTTP, we already know that there's one here, there's one GET request here, there's the second one in frame 17, and there's actually the third one here, a third get request, um, a get the third get request in frame 20. So there is three HTTP get request messages sent by the client browser in. So to be more specific, they are in frame 10, frame 17, and then frame 20. So I will be making it bold, blue in order for it to be more clear to see. As for the second question, to which internet address were the GET requests sent? So in order to track the IP address that the GET request has been sent to, you can just click on the first GET request here, and then you can see there's a like small arrow here indicating that the source is sent to the this thing here. Actually, this small indication here is meaning the packet is being sent to, and then this small arrow here, is the packet being sent back to the client. So it's like a small indication, easier to see if you know the details. So to which internet address were the GET request sent to? So you can just see that this here, since the three GET requests here is sent by the same source. So we know that this IP address here is not the destination. I mean, sorry, it's not the server itself, but it will be the client browser. So after knowing that information, we will know that uh, we will know that that we will know that by seeing these three like get requests, we will know that which destination has been sent a get request by the client. So it will be the first one, the first internet address or IP address will be the is 128.119.245.12. The second internet address is this one, 165 dot, I'm sorry, second IP address, internet address is 165.193.123.218. As for the final one, third internet address is this one. So it will be 134.241.6.82. So I will also bold it and blue it for easier to see. Okay, that will be the answer for question 2. As for question 3, any bytes or the content being returned to the client browser for Pearson logo footer.gif image file. So in order to find this specific file that the client requested for, so we will be looking through the information here to find this specific file here. So if we scroll the site here, you will see that get eternal labs lab dash 4, and then the second get request for image person logo footer, which is the thing we actually need. So, and then the third one is just the cover JPG. Yes. So the second one, the second GET request is actually the um, question is asking for. So in order to find the any bytes returned from the server to the client, we can just click this thing, click this like frame 17, go to hypertext transfer protocol like the same like the previous questions, and then go down here. There's a request. There's actually a request only. I'm sorry. So actually we need to go to the frame 25, as this is the frame that the server will be returning the file to the client browser. So if we scroll down here, like going to the hypertext transfer protocol and then open it to review more information, and then scroll down to the end, you will find that there's actually a file data here that is being returned to the client browser. So there is so in to answer the question 3 here, we'll be answering that there is 3037 3357 bytes of content being returned to the client browser from the server for the provision logo footer .gif image file. So that will be the answer for question 3. As to answer question 4 here, how many bytes of content is being returned to client browser for the JPG image file? So to answer that, we should first, like I said just now previously, the third GET request from the client browser requests for the cover JPG from the server. So if you like look at the arrows here, you will track that this frame 54 here, the server is replying to this frame 20, the request in the GET request in frame 20. So here, how many bytes are being returned to the client? You can just like question 3, we just need to go to the hypertext transfer protocol and open it, review more information, scroll to the end, and then you will see that there's a file data here that a total of, so there is 15,642 bytes of content being returned to the client browser for cover.jpg image file from the server. So I think that will be all for question 4. And in order to make it more specific, we can also include the frames here, the frame that we find the answer. So in frame 54, here, and then in frame 20, I think. It's in frame 25. So here there is, and then we can also include actually no, yeah, There will be, since the destination is everywhere, so we don't need to include the frames here. So we just need notify that which every we just need notify the destination that each that the client sent to. So I think that's all for question 3 part B, and thank you for watching me explaining uh, part B part B in lab 1, and thank you for listening and thank you for watching also.